Hello and welcome to Happy Cells and Souls. My name is Julie Powers and I am a licensed Zumba instructor and I'm a business partner with the Juice Plus company. My missions in life are to help people understand that life is better when they're dancing through it and to inspire healthy living around the world. But my expanded mission is to create better health at the cellular level and more joy at the cellular level. We only get one body while we're here. We have to take care of it. And we're supposed to be happy and joyful while we're here and spread that light and love into the world. And I have had the honor and privilege of knowing so many different people from all different walks of life in my entire life. And what I love is that we get to learn from everyone. Doesn't matter if we share the same beliefs, the same background, same culture. It doesn't matter what our politics are. If we open our hearts, open our minds, we can learn from everyone because everyone has a story to share. And today we get to learn from Jill Wagner and find out about a little bit of her story. And Jill, I have known you for probably almost 10 years. And I have watched your progress through our shared business, through the Juice Plus company, but that's not what this conversation is about today. What I love about you is that you made a choice to live out loud, to live authentically, transparently, honestly, and to really inspire and encourage others to do the same. And so I'd like to start there, if you don't mind, and talk about some things in your life that have taken you from kind of looking at life one way and now where you have come so many years later. So start wherever you feel most comfortable starting, and then we'll just jump in and I'll ask questions along the way.
Okay, well, I will start and say that, boy, I could go back years ago whenever I was a young girl. But then most recently becoming more prevalent, I guess I should say, on social media, that has been something that has really just inspired me. And I think it's been really good for me. It's been a combination of getting out of my own shell. Probably turning 40 was a piece in that too. Once I turned 40, I was like, what does it matter what people think? Because I haven't always been the girl who didn't care what people think. I would have definitely have felt like I was a people pleaser back, years ago. And that probably started with a lot of shame around getting pregnant as a young age, as a teenager. There was just a lot of shame, a lot of guilt around all of that. And that is something that I speak out loud about are my struggles, because I think that whenever you go through a struggle, you can help other people by sharing your own struggle with them. And so I think that God has placed that in my life as something that I can help other people with once I go through one. So I dealt with a lot of shame and a lot of guilt around that for years. And then things just kept compiling. And then as I was struggling in my marriage years later, I realized that there wasn't a community. There wasn't a community of women who talked real, who talked open, who wanted to get down to their nitty gritty, who wanted to not just be surface level. Like I was looking for somebody to actually have real conversations with. And especially for me, that was in the Christian community, because I wanted to know that there was other people that had gone through the same thing that I had gone through. And so I was struggling to find that. And so I think it's one of my things now is just that I want to be that for other people. I want to be someone that can show other people that you can go through these struggles, that it's normal, that we don't have to put on a facade all the time, because I feel like there was a piece of my life that I just put on a facade and smiled, like, put the smile on, put the happy front on, and then faked it behind doors. And I don't like to ever feel that way again.
Well, before we turn on the camera, I get some feedback here. Before I turn the camera on, we talked about how sometimes it's important to go ahead and glue that smile on, because that creates some natural endorphins in the body and it helps you kind of get over that hump sometimes when you're feeling down or low or blue or whatever. But to continue doing that time after time and pretending that you're someone that you're not, or that you want to be like someone that you think is going through all happy sunshine, roses, and unicorns, it's never like that. And so what I love is that you're always so authentic in the things that you talk about, and you kind of bring people along and you let them know that it's okay, because like you said, you can't have all light all the time. You have to have those dark moments, otherwise you don't even know you're shining, right? And
Oh, I
so,
love that.
you can put a little candle outside on a bright sunny day and it won't know that it's giving out any light. But you put it in a dark room and voila, you can see it. And so you continue to be that bright light. And I know that you have talked about other struggles that you've gone through, some things with your marriage, some things with adopting a child, kind of like out of the blue, that sort of came at you sideways, and all of a sudden you're embracing adopting a child that you didn't even know. Like it just sort of hit you. So, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, yeah, I will definitely say that I think everybody has those struggles. And first of all, I'll start with that people cannot relate to you if they think you're perfect. And so people relate to the struggles and they pick up on whatever piece that is that they relate to out of your story because it pertains to their story. And that's what I always feel like that I can share those struggle pieces because of that. So, yeah, going along and so gosh, it was 2017. I had zero intention at this moment. I've always thought about foster care. I've always thought about adoption. And at that moment in my life, it really was not on my radar because we were struggling so greatly in our marriage. And it's amazing how God's perfect timing just works in that though, because my oldest son came to me and he said, Mom, there's a boy that I met that we need to help. And I didn't know anything about him. We had never met him, but I knew my son's heart. And I knew that if he came to me, that it was definitely something that we should look into. And within a matter of 4 to 5 hours, we made that decision as a family without ever meeting the child that we brought into our home. And now, if you watch any of my videos, he's a huge piece of our family. He immediately fit right in. And I think that he was part of the healing process also, even in my marriage. And it's interesting to look back on that now because I never would have thought that. And even during that moment, I remember saying to Brian, like, if we do this, and our marriage doesn't, this isn't just me taking this on. This is both of us. That's why it has to be both of, it would be split custody, just like the rest of our kids. And it's a shame that I was even thinking that at the time, but it's really where we were. And I can tell you that foster adoption has been one of the hardest, but also one of the most rewarding things that we have done. And it's not always easy, that's for sure. But I look at what has happened in our family, and it's not just Hakeem that was changed. It was also our family that was changed. And so I'm just so thankful for that.
Right. Well, it's been a great story to follow. And, one of the other things that I think that we can talk about is really inspiring those women, like you said, to kind of live authentically. But what do you see? I mean, you have teenagers, you have girls in the family. And I know that young girls, especially, they're looking at life through other people's highlight reels. They're looking at people through their filters, through their perfect bodies, their perfect voices musically, their perfect backgrounds, their perfect families. And it is so unattainable. And then that's where the depression and anxiety and, high levels of emotional and mental suffering come in. And so, would you like to kind of address that and what you've seen in terms of how you are living your life in the world? How does that affect the young people in your family and around you in your circles?
Mm-hmm.
Is that having a difference on how they live?
Absolutely. And I have people reach out to me all the time, and it's amazing the young people that do reach out, and they just want to be seen. They just want to be heard, and they just want to know that somebody is having those conversations. They just sometimes are just looking for conversation. And I love it when they reach out to me because I know that that's somewhere where I can, like, I love being a mom, and I love that, I relate to all these boys, and then I have a daughter as well. And so I do see from both sides of their filter. And don't get me wrong, I love a good filter. You're going to see my pictures. They have a good filter on them sometimes.
Filters are good. Filters are good.
It has that filter, but my life is not filtered like that. And I think that that's the difference is, people, like I said before, people relate to the struggle. So whenever we are looking on social media, what we are seeing a lot of times is someone who we're seeing their highlight reel. You mentioned that. We're seeing their highlight reel. we're seeing the fun pieces of their life, the happy pieces of their life. And that's great that that's what they choose to post out there. And at the same time, sometimes it gives a perfection piece to other people that are looking, thinking, I can't do that. And so I think it's really important also for there to be people who are on social media who are being so real about things like, my life's not perfect. This is just what it is. And yet it's okay to be that way. And I think that, you know, on the side of boys and girls, like we see that, and it's causing a lot of anxiety. It's causing a lot of depression. It's causing a lot of self-doubt and all of that. And I think that, you know, having those relationships, real people who can do real talk with you is a huge thing.
Right. And I know you recently went on a trip. Do you hear that feedback? I hear feedback. I know
I
you
just did. Now it's not there.
okay. I know you recently went on a trip with some of your close girlfriends, and I saw a post that you were talking about how they have been there with you and for you during, you know, all of you together, letting you cry and complain and celebrate. And, you know, I have some very close friends that I think, you know, sometimes, you know, family is family, that's
Mhm.
blood, but there are a lot of things that we don't share with family that we share with our closest friends, that we just need a sounding board, you know, because they don't have that day-to-day interaction with some of our family members, that you want to get an objective viewpoint. So what would you like to say about the importance of having those circles outside of the family that you can trust? Because I think that's very important, because people don't always feel like some of their friends can be trusted with their
Mhm.
innermost thoughts and feelings, and knowing their backgrounds and knowing things that have happened and struggles that they've had. You know, it's always good to have those people. So what would you like to say about that?
I will say, I have probably a lot to say about that, but I will say, first of all, that I hear a lot of people say to me, like, I just wish I had a friendship like you have friendships. And I have, even outside of that group, I have some amazing friendships with people, and people who I have had lifelong and trusting friendships. And I will say, first of all, be the friend that you want. I think that's, you know, the biggest piece of that. If you want a friend that you can get that kind of relationship with, them, be that friend to somebody else. Be the trustworthy friend, be the open friend, share some of your things so that they feel comfortable to share theirs too. And you'll know if that friend is trustworthy and, you know, can do that. But our friends, there are people in our life, like you said, that we can trust certain things to, that we may not tell a family member. And those people, those girls in my life have become that for me, where I can just be 100% me, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. And they're ones that I can also, whenever I was struggling in my marriage, you know, they were some of the ones that I went to, because I felt like there was no shame. There was no judgment. I guess I should say no judgment in the friendship at all. But it didn't mean that they didn't tell me what I was doing wrong either. Like, sometimes those friendships get hard and you have to go through some of those things,
Sure.
but it's so worth it. But if you can be that friend, you know, and you can cultivate that, you can cultivate those friendships. And I know some people are not cut out for a lot of friendships, and that's okay. Some people, my mom always says, Jill, I could not handle as many friends as you have. I just couldn't do it. And that's okay. That's just me. That's how I've always been. And some people aren't. You may have one good friend, but it is so important to cultivate that relationship.
Yeah, I think that that's really important. And, you know, I think that it cannot be stated enough that what you said about, if you want to have good friends, you have to be a good friend.
Mhm.
And you have to be the one that brings the trust into the relationship, so that they can also earn that trust on your side. And I think that's where a lot of people fall short. And also, but just, you know, granting grace for people
Mm.
and allowing them to make mistakes and allowing them to not be a friend sometimes, and letting them live their own lives and then pick it up when it's, you know, possible again. Because I know that, you know, like, you're in your 40s, but I'm in my 50s. And there are friends that, you know, we might not see each other for many years, but if they are special enough, you can pick up that relationship right where you left off, and nothing is off the table.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really important.
I think there's friends for different seasons in your life.
Right.
And that's okay. And, there's been a post that said something about like, if we were friends at some point, like in my heart, we're still that. And that is truly how I feel. Like I've had different times in my life where I had different friends that were closer than others. And it's just the season. A lot of times it had to do with our kids and what we were around and all of that. And so I think that's okay. And like you said, to be that friend and to really put yourself out there to people, that can be scary sometimes, and that can be hard. And yet it can also be so rewarding.
Right. And sometimes it's just as simple as, telling the world how you feel about something, whatever it is. I mean, it might be something really ridiculous. And then all of a sudden, you're going to get, for you, who has how many followers on TikTok do you have?
1.4 million.
Yeah, so that's just crazy. So you might do a TikTok video where you're talking about how much you really hate vanilla ice cream. And you're going to get 500,000 people telling you how awful you are for hating vanilla ice cream, right? But then what if it's something that really matters and you state your beliefs or views on something, and it's who you are and it's what you believe, and you're going to stand firm on that no matter what. And knowing that you're going to have haters, you're going to have those people who disagree with you. And you have to be strong enough inside into your own convictions and your own heart to be true to yourself and know if people can't accept you for who you are, I guess they're not worth being friends, right?
Yeah. I will say too, the minute you put yourself out there on social media, people ask me all the time, I don't think I could do that because of the feedback that you get, because sometimes that feedback is not always positive. Right. And like you said, you have to be 100% in who you are and what you believe and all of that, or else it could really take a toll on your mental health. At the same time, though, I think through the personal development, I will say through the years, I have always done personal development. I have always tried to strengthen who I was and all of that. And through that, I have been able to really be confident in who I am. I need to lose weight. Some people would look at me and be like, oh my gosh, she shares about health, but she's overweight. It doesn't matter, because I am 100% confident in who I am, and they can relate to me because of even that struggle, and I'm open about it. And so, but you do get haters on there on social media. You do get people that don't agree with you. And I think the best thing is to not let that get to you. Sometimes if I know there's a controversial video, I won't even go and read the comments. I put out mine, but it's not for me to take in what everybody else has for me. It's for me to put out. That's my page.
That's true, is that you're just stating your piece and let the chips fall where they may. Yep. Kind of thing.
I will say overall though, the support is 90% fantastic. You may get 10% that are ugly, but the support is 90% great.
Right. And like I said, you're shining this bright light in the world in multiple ways on different social media platforms. And people might want to follow along, might want to see what's up with Jill Wagner. And so, like we mentioned, you can be one of the 1.4 million followers on Jill's TikTok profile. And that, you said, is Jill Wagner 81.
Yeah, I did Jill Wagner 81. I never intended to be viral. So it's just a very generic Jill Wagner 81. And if you decide to join and follow along, you will see the hot mess of a family that we are. And we do just live life out loud, and we just have fun with it. And I catch those moments of videoing my kids at different times, and it's just fun.
Yes, and I haven't seen them on TikTok, because as of this video being recorded right now, I'm still not on TikTok. But I am, able to watch on Instagram, and that is Authentically Jill. Yes. And on Facebook, Authentically Jill. And so I think that just want to tell you how much the world appreciates people like you who are out there living authentically, and your name says it on your social profile. Any last words that you'd like to share? I would 1 minute left.
Yeah, I would just say that comparing yourself to others, I think that's something we touched on, that will only steal your joy. And so just going out there, being true to your true, real, authentic self, and you will find that you will start to be comfortable in your own skin.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.